Before I say anything else, let me tell you this. Your life is not ordinary. You didn't just show up on this earth. You were sent. You didn't stumble into existence. You were released with intention, with strategy, with divine backing. That's why nothing about your journey has been casual. That's why you've faced storms that others couldn't survive. That's why from an early age, there's been pressure, confusion, and resistance you couldn't explain. Because you're not just a person, you are a spiritual assignment. You are a walking prophecy. You are a declaration of war to the kingdom of darkness. And today I want to open your eyes to something deeper. You've been thinking your pain was personal. You thought your battle was about your mistakes, your background, your family, or your decisions. But the truth is, you caused a war in the spirit realm. Heaven and hell are both watching you. Angels and demons are responding to your presence. Why? Because you are chosen, and chosen ones don't enter quietly. They are marked before birth, fought in the womb, and resisted from childhood. But despite all that, you're still here. And that means something powerful is still in motion. Let's go deeper. Before you were even a thought in the minds of your parents, before the doctor ever confirmed your existence, before the world ever heard your name, God had already written a divine assignment over your life. Your entry into this world was not the beginning of your story. It was the manifestation of a purpose that heaven had already approved. You were not born to simply exist. You were born to fulfill something eternal, something so significant that it caused a ripple in the unseen realm the moment you took your first breath. Many people underestimate themselves because they judge their worth by their circumstances. But your value is not in your environment. It's in your assignment. And when God assigns purpose, it is not a light thing. Heaven doesn't waste breath. Every soul released onto this earth carries an intention from the Creator Himself. That means you are a strategic move in the hand of God. You are a solution to a problem your generation would face. You are a response to a cry that heaven heard before you were born. The spiritual realm recognized your assignment before you could even speak your first word. That's why the war started early. The enemy doesn't wait for you to become aware of your purpose before launching his attacks. He detects it in your presence. The enemy sensed something in you the moment you were born, something that threatened the foundation of his demonic agenda. And because of that, he began his warfare long before you understood who you really were. Have you ever wondered why certain attacks came against you so young? Why you experienced rejection before you even knew what love truly meant? Why you felt isolated, misunderstood, or spiritually attacked before you even had a language for your pain? It's because hell saw the mark of divine destiny on your life. The kingdom of darkness never wastes ammunition. If the attack came early, it means your assignment was already causing disruption in the enemy's territory. Purpose provokes warfare. And when God places His hand on someone, it causes movement in both heaven and hell. Angels are assigned to assist and demons are sent to resist. It's not a sign that you've done something wrong. It's a sign that you were born with something right. That rejection you experienced was not personal. It was strategic. That battle in your childhood wasn't random. It was spiritual. The trauma wasn't just emotional, it was generational. It was all designed to derail you before you could discover what you carry. The enemy's greatest fear is not your present, it's your future. He fears what you will become once you realize your identity. That's why he attacks your identity first. If he can confuse your sense of self, he can paralyze your sense of assignment. Because the key to unlocking your divine mission is knowing who you are and whose you are. You weren't born into this world empty. You were born into it equipped with purpose, equipped with influence, equipped with favor, equipped with anointing. And yet the world tried to silence you early. The system tried to shape you. The voices around you tried to label you. But what heaven wrote over you cannot be erased by earthly hands. That assignment written in the eternal realms carries weight, it carries authority, it carries legacy. You were not born to simply make a living. You were born to make a difference. And the weight of your calling is the reason for the intensity of your spiritual warfare. Some people don't understand why your journey has been so hard, but they're looking at the natural and missing the supernatural. They're seeing the surface, but God is working with substance. The battles that came against your mind, your family, your finances, your health, they were all connected to your assignment. The more valuable the purpose, the more violent the warfare. It's not because you're cursed, it's because you're chosen. And being chosen means that you were set apart before time began for something greater than time can explain. This is why you must never allow your past to define your future. Everything that happened to you, even the pain, the betrayal, the delay, the confusion, was part of a larger spiritual strategy to either prepare you or prevent you. But the fact that you're still here, the fact that you're still breathing, still pressing, still seeking truth, still rising from the ashes, it proves that your assignment survived every attempt to destroy it. God doesn't assign purpose without provision. That means He has already arranged the help you need, the doors that must open, the connections that must be made, and the strength that must be imparted. Heaven has invested in your success because your success is not about status. It's about assignment. You are a vessel, not an ornament. You are a carrier of something divine. And when you finally align your life with that purpose, you will understand why the enemy tried so hard to keep you confused, distracted, and discouraged. Every spiritual attack you faced is a compliment to what you carry. The enemy doesn't fight empty vessels. He targets people who are pregnant with destiny. And when God put that assignment in you, He did so knowing the battles it would attract. Yet He also promised to be with you in the fire, in the storm, in the midnight hour. He didn't just assign you, He equipped you. You have been fortified by grace, strengthened by trials, and matured through warfare. And now, every step you take toward fulfilling your assignment is a step that makes the enemy nervous, because you are no longer blind to your identity. You're no longer confused about your value. You're no longer silent about your truth. You are awakening. You are rising. You are moving in power. Because what God started in you before your birth, He intends to finish through your obedience. You are not ordinary. You were never meant to blend in. The moment God breathed life into you, something sacred entered time through your existence. You may walk among men, but your presence speaks loudly in the spirit realm. You carry an identity that was assigned in heaven, not manufactured by culture. And because of that identity, you provoke hell and activate heaven. Your life is not common. It is marked. You may not have a title, a microphone, or a platform, but your very being carries the fragrance of divine authority. There's something about you that disrupts systems of darkness, even when you're silent. Your thoughts carry weight, your prayers shake realms, your worship shapes atmospheres. You don't need to announce who you are. Your spirit speaks for itself. Demons recognize you even if people don't. Angels stand guard over you not because of your perfection, but because of your position in the kingdom. You see, identity is everything in the spirit. It is not what people call you. It's what heaven called you before the foundation of the world. It's what the enemy saw the moment you entered the earth. It's the reason you've been attacked in ways that seem unfair. Hell doesn't waste energy on the average. It comes after those who carry evidence of God's intention. That's why some people around you can live any way they want with no resistance, but you get immediate warfare the moment you try to step into alignment. You don't belong to the masses. You're a remnant. You're a carrier of kingdom DNA. Your presence is disruptive to the plans of the enemy, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. You don't have to open your mouth. Your spirit testifies that you belong to a higher authority. There are rooms you enter that shift just because you walk in. People feel something different when you speak. Environments change when you pray, not because of charisma, but because you've been authorized. You walk in a level of spiritual recognition that cannot be explained by your resume or your past. It is the invisible mark of God on your life, and that mark commands attention in the spirit. When you walk into places where demonic systems have been operating unchecked, your identity irritates those spirits. They sense that you are a disruptor. They know you've come to tear down, to rebuild, to speak truth, to set captives free. You represent what they fear: alignment, truth, and authority. And so they attack, not because you're weak, but because you're powerful. They want you to believe you're ordinary so you won't access the fullness of your anointing. But once you realize who you are, hell's strategies begin to crumble. At the same time, heaven is activated around you. Angels are assigned to your purpose. Divine appointments are orchestrated for your journey. When you walk in your true identity, heaven moves on your behalf. Doors open that no man can shut. Protection increases, wisdom flows. Resources locate you, not because you chase them, but because identity draws provision. Heaven funds what heaven assigns. There are times you felt misunderstood, even rejected. And that's because your presence challenges the spiritual complacency of others. You don't fit in circles that lack vision. You don't feel at home where purpose is absent. You've outgrown spaces that refuse to evolve. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. The oil on your life won't allow you to be comfortable in average. Your spirit knows you were made for more. You can't sleep like others. You can't sin like others. You can't settle like others. Every time you try to shrink to be accepted, something in your soul feels violated. That's because you weren't designed to shrink. You were designed to shine. And when you shine, darkness reacts. When you step into purpose, hell resists, but heaven responds. This is why you must protect your identity at all costs. The enemy's greatest attack is against who you believe you are, because if he can distort your self-perception, he can diminish your impact. But when you come into agreement with heaven's declaration over your life, your walk changes, your talk changes, your decisions change. You begin to live from a place of authority, not insecurity. And that is what the devil fears most. You are not ordinary. You are a spiritual disruptor. Your identity is your weapon. Your presence is your proof. You don't need validation from man when you've been approved by God. Every day you wake up, hell gets nervous and heaven gets ready, because a chosen one has stepped into the battlefield, carrying both purpose and power. The battle you face daily, the pressure that seems unrelenting, the warfare that often comes from unexpected places. It's not personal. It feels personal, it looks personal, but in the spirit, it's strategic. The attacks are not aimed at your personality. They are aimed at your purpose. You are not being fought because of your background, your family name, or your mistakes. You are being fought because of what you were born to release, build, break, and restore in your generation. You see, purpose carries power, and power disrupts patterns. The enemy is not threatened by people who merely exist. He is threatened by those who wake up to their assignment. You were born to make a difference, to challenge systems, to dismantle strongholds, and to carry healing into broken places. The battle is not against your preferences, it's against your potential. And once you start walking in purpose, the warfare increases, not because you're losing, but because you're aligning. Every great assignment attracts great opposition. If you weren't carrying anything worth attacking, the enemy wouldn't waste his time. But you are dangerous, not because you shout, not because you pour scriptures, but because your life is a message, a living epistle. You are evidence that God still raises up chosen vessels in dark times. Your obedience is powerful. Your persistence is threatening. Your vision is unsettling to demonic agendas. The enemy fights your mind because your ideas are about to liberate people. He attacks your relationships because unity in your circle would birth movements. He targets your self-worth because confidence would cause you to speak life where others remain silent. The enemy doesn't want your stuff. He wants your influence. He wants your effectiveness. He wants your legacy, because he knows that if you ever realize who you are and why you're here, nothing can stop the wave of transformation that will follow. You were born to release freedom. That means your voice matters. Your perspective matters. Your presence is not accidental. The moment you start praying, strongholds weaken. The moment you start building, change begins to break. The moment you speak life, darkness loses ground. That's why confusion and discouragement always try to cloud your path, because purpose must be protected, and the enemy will use anything, offense, betrayal, lack, fear, to pull you out of alignment. But you must discern the attack beyond the surface. Don't get caught up in the personalities used by the enemy. They are not the source. They are instruments in a larger scheme to derail you from purpose. If the enemy can get you bitter, he can block you. If he can get you distracted, he can delay you. If he can get you doubting, he can detour you. But once you realize it's not about you, it's about your assignment, you rise above petty battles and press toward divine goals. You were born to build what the enemy tried to destroy. That's why the enemy fought your family line. That's why you experience lack, loss, and instability. Because what you build will stand as a testimony that God redeems what was broken. You are the bridge between what was and what can be. Your hands are anointed to create systems that heal, structures that last, and visions that outlive you. And that's why opposition comes to wear you down before you even start. You were born to break cycles, addictions, mindsets, generational patterns, things that ran freely through your bloodline until you stood up and said, "Not through me." That declaration alone provokes spiritual warfare. Because when you break a cycle, you shift an entire lineage. When you say yes to purpose, you begin undoing what the enemy spent years building. And that kind of authority is not welcomed in the enemy's camp. You were born to restore what others gave up on. You carry the oil of restoration, whether it's in families, communities, broken hearts, or weary minds. The enemy fears your compassion. He fears your ability to see potential in what's been cast aside. He fears your resilience because it's contagious. When others watch you rise again and again, it stirs something in them. It awakens hope. And hope is dangerous to darkness because hope births movement. The battle then is not about your feelings, it's about your fruit. The enemy sees the harvest connected to your life and wants to stop it at the seed level. That's why the warfare doesn't wait for success. It starts in your beginnings. It starts when you're still trying to figure things out. Because he knows that if the seed survives, the fruit will multiply. And your fruit isn't just for you. It's for nations, generations, and the advancement of God's kingdom. So when the battle feels unbearable, remember, it's not about you being targeted. It's about your purpose being threatened. That purpose is precious. It's eternal. It's sacred. It carries heaven's signature. And the enemy cannot erase what God has ordained, but he will try to discourage the vessel through which it must flow. Stay focused, stay prayerful, stay surrendered, because the pressure is a clue that your purpose is not only real, it's active. Every spiritual battle you face is not just an inconvenience, it's confirmation. It's the evidence that you're carrying something the enemy fears. Kingdom property. You don't get attacked for nothing. You don't wrestle in the spirit without cause. The warfare is targeted, not random. Hell doesn't waste its weapons on empty vessels. If there was nothing inside of you, the enemy wouldn't bother. The resistance you feel is proof that your life carries something holy, something powerful, something that threatens darkness on every level. There is a deposit within you that was placed there by heaven itself. It cannot be replicated, copied, or transferred. That deposit is the anointing, the divine equipping that empowers you to fulfill your assignment. And that anointing is not decorative, it's functional. It breaks yokes. It unlocks doors. It pierces through deception. And because it is kingdom property, it is constantly under surveillance by the enemy. You were born with a target on your back, not because of your faults, but because of your function. The enemy is after what you carry. That calling on your life, it shakes foundations. That mantle of authority, it shifts atmospheres. That discernment you walk in, it reveals what hell wants to keep hidden. You see, you don't just walk into rooms, you bring heaven's government with you. You are not just a person of faith, you are a carrier of divine influence. You were never meant to blend in, and that's why spiritual resistance shows up whenever you try to move forward. What's inside of you is not for sale. It's not negotiable, it belongs to God. And the more you surrender to that truth, the more you will attract opposition. But don't let the battles deceive you. They are not signs of defeat. They are signs of possession. You're carrying something, and the enemy wants it silenced, aborted, or diluted. He wants to convince you that warfare means you're losing, but in reality, warfare means you're loaded. You are a carrier of solutions, a vessel of purpose, a walking answer to prayers that haven't even been spoken yet. Your life is a warehouse of kingdom tools. When you pray, heaven listens. When you move, hell takes notice. When you speak, things break. That's not pride, it's purpose. That's not arrogance, it's awareness. And once you become aware of what you carry, your posture changes. You stop being shocked by the storm because you understand the cargo inside of you. Spiritual warfare doesn't come to those who are empty. It comes to those who are filled with divine assignments. The reason the attacks intensify when you get serious about God is because your alignment awakens the opposition. The moment you begin to walk in purity, in purpose, in obedience, the moment you stop compromising and start contending, hell recognizes that you're no longer a passive believer. You are an active threat. It's easy to doubt yourself in the middle of the battle. The enemy will try to convince you that the presence of warfare means God has abandoned you. But that's a lie. The enemy doesn't attack those who are abandoned. He attacks those who are anointed. If you are empty, you'd be invisible to hell. But you are not empty. You are full of divine fire. And that fire will either ignite faith or expose fear, depending on who's watching. That's why some people can't handle your presence. It's not about your personality, it's about your power. You may not even realize it, but when you walk into certain places, the atmosphere changes. Not because of your words, but because of what you carry. You have been entrusted with spiritual authority. You have been authorized by heaven to shift things in the natural and the supernatural. That is why the resistance keeps coming. It's confirmation that your life is not normal. It is necessary. The weight you feel is the weight of glory. The pressure you carry is not punishment, it's preservation. God has placed something inside of you that must be protected. You can't live like others because you carry what others are waiting for. You can't take shortcuts because what you carry must be delivered with integrity. You can't quit because what you carry is tied to someone else's freedom. This is not about you being comfortable. It's about you being consecrated. Every time you feel spiritual resistance, you must remind yourself it's not just an attack, it's a reminder. A reminder that you are carrying kingdom property. A reminder that you are a vessel of eternal value. A reminder that you have something inside of you that hell hopes you never recognize. Because once you see it, once you embrace it, once you walk boldly in it, you become unstoppable. The fire isn't here to consume you, it's here to reveal you. The storm isn't here to destroy you, it's here to verify you. The pressure isn't here to break you, It's here to prove that you are filled with something the enemy can't control. And the more the battle rages, the clearer it becomes there is something within you that is not of this world. And that is why the world and the darkness in it fight so hard to contain it. Heaven will never abandon what God has invested in you. You are not walking through this life by chance or moving through battles uncovered. There is a divine strategy wrapped around your existence. And God has personally assigned resources from heaven to ensure that what He placed in you will not be lost. Every calling has a covering, every purpose has protection, and every destiny carries divine backup. You may feel surrounded by chaos, but you are also surrounded by angels. You may feel overwhelmed, but you are never overlooked. The hand of God is still on you, not because of your perfection, but because of His investment. God does not place purpose in someone and then walk away. He is not an absentee Father. He is a covenant-keeping King. What He starts, He finishes. What He authors, He completes. And when He breathed that vision into your spirit, when He deposited that assignment into your soul, He also arranged divine escorts to walk with you through every storm. Heaven always backs purpose. You are not trying to survive on your own strength. You are being carried by a heavenly infrastructure that cannot be shaken. Some of the attacks you faced weren't just about you. They were designed to make you question if God was still with you, but presence doesn't always look like peace. Sometimes it looks like endurance. Sometimes it looks like a still small voice reminding you, you're not alone, keep going, I'm with you. When all else fails, God's investment in you remains. His word does not return void. His seed does not dry up. His plans are not subject to demonic veto. When God invests in you, He also insures you. That's why you survived what should have destroyed you. That's why you made it out of battles that were designed to bury you. Not because you were so strong, but because you were so covered. Angels were dispatched long before you even knew you were in danger. Divine reinforcement showed up before the attack fully formed. Because heaven defends what God deposits. The potential inside of you is not exposed, it is protected. You may walk through the valley, but you are never without a shadow of divine presence hovering over your steps. You must understand that you are not some spiritual orphan begging for direction. You are an heir of divine legacy, chosen and guarded by the King of Kings. The same God who called you is the same God who fights for you. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is the same power that is active in your life. Heaven does not abandon its assignments. The host of heaven is not passive. It is poised for intervention. And the moment you align with God's will, all of heaven aligns with you. Some doors you walked through were not opened by your own strength. They were unlocked by angelic assistance. Some opportunities that found you were not random. They were heaven's way of reminding you, we haven't forgotten what you carry. When you're too weak to pray, intercession is made for you. When you feel outnumbered, heaven's armies are already in formation. God is not just interested in starting something in you. He's committed to sustaining it, empowering it, and seeing it fulfilled. The warfare may be fierce, but so is your covering. The fire may be hot, but so is the hedge of protection around your life. Just because you can't see the angels doesn't mean they're not there. Just because you don't always feel divine strength doesn't mean you aren't being held. God doesn't need your senses to be active in your situation. He's God all by himself. And when he chooses you, he also chooses to shield you, not from every hardship, but from total defeat. Not from every battle, but from utter destruction. The reason you're still standing isn't because you've avoided hardship. It's because heaven has invested in your victory. And God will never allow what he planted in you to be uprooted by demonic forces. He didn't call you to barely make it. He called you to occupy, to dominate, to influence, to advance the kingdom. And because your mission is so critical, your protection is non-negotiable. Heaven doesn't sponsor failure, it covers destiny. You are not exposed even in your weakest moments. You are not forsaken even when you feel abandoned. You are not forgotten even when you're isolated. You are heaven's investment, and that investment carries security. God watches over his word in you to perform it. He tracks every movement, he sees every tear, and he responds to every cry that comes from a yielded heart. Your prayers are never ignored. Your obedience is never wasted. Your warfare is never unseen. So even when everything around you looks unstable, remember that you are anchored in an unshakable kingdom. Even when people walk away, know that heaven's angels are stationed where people fail. Even when the battle seems too big, remember the one who invested in you already declared the victory, and he does not lose what he calls. Heaven will always back what God breathes into existence, potential. And if he called you, then every storm, every fire, every delay, every betrayal is just another stage where heaven shows that it never abandons what God has invested in. Hell knows your future and fights to stop your present. The warfare around your life is not random, it's strategic. It is not just about what you're doing today, but what you're destined to accomplish tomorrow. The enemy isn't reacting to your past, he's responding to the prophetic word hanging over your life. That's why the pressure seems out of proportion to your current season. That's why the attacks feel relentless even when you feel like you haven't done anything significant yet. It's because hell saw the blueprint before you did. Hell perceived your arrival before you knew you had arrived. The enemy studies patterns. He recognizes divine fingerprints on people. And when he sees certain qualities, courage, compassion, authority, wisdom, purity, spiritual hunger, he knows those are not common traits. Those are indicators of a rising threat to the kingdom of darkness. He knows that if you step into your full identity, you'll destroy systems he spent years building. He knows that your voice has power, your influence carries deliverance, and your obedience shakes foundation. So his plan is simple. If he can break you in the present, he can block you from stepping into your future. If he can delay you now, he might derail the destiny you've been assigned to fulfill. You must realize the enemy's warfare is never just about survival. It's about sabotage. He wants to sabotage your faith, your relationships, your confidence, your mind, and your connection with God. He tries to poison your vision and fill you with doubt because he knows that a person who believes what God said is unstoppable. If he can get you to quit, question, or compromise, then he never has to face the fullness of what you're carrying. He doesn't want to deal with the anointed version of you. He wants to neutralize you before you activate. The spiritual opposition you face is not an indication that you are failing, it's confirmation that you are a target. And only valuable things become targets. The enemy doesn't waste resources on people who aren't a threat. You are under attack not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous. Not because you're irrelevant, but because you're irreplaceable. The more intense the warfare, the greater the assignment. The more persistent the resistance, the more significant the revelation that's about to be born through you. Some of the people who betrayed you weren't just reacting in the flesh. They were pawns in a spiritual war against your timeline. Some of the depression, confusion, and fatigue you've been fighting are not just emotional. They are strategic attempts to steal your clarity and silence your momentum. The enemy knows that timing is everything in the kingdom. If he can keep you stuck in discouragement, you'll miss divine windows of opportunity. That's why you must discern the attack, not just react to it. You must recognize the pattern and expose the plot. The devil is not omniscient, but he is observant. He's seen what happens when people like you wake up to their identity. He saw what happened when Moses stepped into Pharaoh's court. He saw what happened when David took down Goliath. He saw what happened when Esther opened her mouth. He saw what happened when Jesus refused to bow to temptation. He saw what happened when the disciples walked in the Spirit. And he knows the same power, the same kingdom, the same Spirit now lives in you. That's why your fight is so fierce. You're the continuation of a legacy that has always been a threat to darkness. And here's the truth. Hell doesn't fight what's already his. He only wages war against what has the potential to dismantle his grip. If you weren't meant to shift atmospheres, break chains, build legacies, and transform generations, he would leave you alone. But because you are, he is panicked. That panic is why you're attacked. That panic is why you're tested. That panic is why doors close, relationships shake, and storms come out of nowhere, because you're getting too close. You're waking up, you're rising in authority. You're stepping into a version of yourself that hell cannot control and darkness cannot intimidate. The attacks were never just about silencing you. They were about stopping the ripple effect that your life was designed to release. You're not just carrying a gift, you're carrying impact. You're not just trying to survive, you're positioned to shift systems. And that's what terrifies the enemy. Your influence, your obedience, your voice, your prayers, your alignment with heaven. He knows the power of one surrendered vessel. That's why he tries so hard to confuse your identity, distort your value, and blind you to your potential. But let this truth anchor you. If hell is reacting this strongly, then heaven must be planning something extraordinary. If the enemy is this committed to stopping you, it means your next step is dangerous to his domain. Don't misinterpret the warfare. It's not a sign that you're off track. It's confirmation that you're a step away from divine activation. The enemy can't touch your future, so he wars against your present. But the God who called you is faithful to complete what he began in you. And no scheme of hell can cancel the future heaven has ordained. So hear me today. You were not born to blend in. You were born to take over. You were not placed on this earth to simply exist. You were sent to enforce kingdom dominion. The warfare surrounding your life is the evidence of the weight you carry. You are a vessel of divine influence. You are a solution in human form. You are heaven's strategy wrapped in skin. And though hell may rage and battles may rise, the purpose of God in you is eternal, unshakable, and unstoppable. Don't fear the fight. Understand it. Don't run from the resistance. Stand in it. Because if God authored your assignment, then all of heaven is obligated to fulfill it. You are not a mistake. You are not an accident. You are not underqualified. You are chosen. And when the chosen ones walk in knowledge, hell trembles and heaven rejoices. So rise. Declare war on confusion. Declare war on compromise. Declare war on spiritual amnesia. The kingdom is waiting on you to remember who you are. And when you do, everything around you will change. Because when a chosen one wakes up, the earth feels it and the spirit realm shifts forever.